Well, as we mentioned off the top, the final report for Governor John Carney's independent review into the fatal hostage situation that happened in Smyrna is in. After months of extensive interviews with inmates, staff from the Department of Corrections, and inmate advocacy groups, Governor Carney held a press conference today to announce the findings. 47 ABC's Lissette has more.
In Wilmington, Governor John Carney has released a final report of an independent review into the state's correctional system. This comes after a deadly prison uprising back in February.
What we were charged with looking at is what led up to this, or what kind of factors is it, and what do you recommend in the future that might minimize the possibility of a reoccurrence.
This 159-page report looks at the systemic issues inside Delaware prisons that are believed to have contributed to the hostage situation and the death of Correctional Officer Lieutenant Stephen Floyd. One finding: a lack of leadership from the administration and an inadequate response to issues. One example: the unanswered cries for help from correctional officers. One of those requests coming from Lieutenant Floyd himself, almost 2 weeks before the incident. According to the report, he had requested certain inmates be removed for security purposes.
As far as we can determine, his requests were not acted upon. Had it been acted upon, or had he been moved from that building, and we use the word may. We can't make the definite conclusion, but his death may have been avoided.
The report also points to a lack of structure and uniformity within the prison system.
We had several inmates tell us if they would just enforce the rules equally, it wouldn't be as bad. We may have somebody come in one shift and they're allowed to do X, and the next shift says you can't do it. So there was a great deal of hostility that developed.
All boiling down to low morale, with correctional officers feeling overworked and wanting out. A growing problem the review team says needs to be addressed. Improving relationships within the prison is just one part of a list of recommendations from the review. Governor Carney says staffing will be a main priority.
We have system-wide something like 270 vacancies. Why is that a big issue? One, it creates the need for overtime, which stresses out our correctional officers.
Another pledge: improving communication amongst the chain of commands.
We have a new warden there, James Vaughn. He's really hit the ground running. He's already put in place communication mechanisms that I think will make a big difference.
Now, Governor John Carney says change will not happen overnight, and it will take a collaborative effort amongst leadership and officers to uphold policies and change the current culture at Delaware's correctional facilities. Reporting in Wilmington, Lissette, 47 ABC.
Now, Jeff Klopp, president of the Correctional Officers Union in Delaware, commented on the final report. He released this statement. It reads in part, "The report has some meritorious comments, but it fails to totally address the real issues. This report does not address why Officer Floyd died. He died because the conscious decisions by politicians who believed it is cheaper to pay overtime and hire fewer staff than it is to properly hire sufficient numbers of officers to provide real, meaningful recruitment, retention, and compensation for correctional officers." End quote. Now, there is also a lawsuit filed by the victims of the hostage situation, including the family of the late Lieutenant Stephen Floyd, naming Governor Jack Markell, the Department of Corrections, and others as responsible parties for what happened. 47 ABC reached out to those attorneys today suing the state, and we're told as of right now they have not reviewed the report and have no comment.